Why is it that I am expected to treat my parents' problems with a level of compassion that I was never given as a child? That's what I want to know.
You know exactly why.
I went no contact with my family about 4 years ago. And
go no contact is not that I wanted to cut off my family.
Do something with it.
It's just money coming to me easily. Money coming in and needing me. Money coming in repeatedly. Money coming, it's just money coming, it's just money coming to me.
Why is it that I am expected to treat my parents' problems with a level of compassion that I was never given as a child? That's what I wanted. A level of compassion that I was never given as a child.
Let's talk about the phrase, I did the best I could. In my personal experience, anytime that I brought up to my birth mother all the shitty things that she did to me as a child and how they affect me as an adult, she would just tell me, well, I did my best. I did the best that I could with what I had. And that's supposed to excuse the abuse and the narcissism and the gaslighting and just never making me feel safe around her. That's the excuse. I did the best I could. But if I ever dared to tell her I did the best I could with literally anything when I was a child, she would have told me, you need to try harder. That's not your best. You need to do more. You can do more. You're not doing your best. You're being lazy. So I'm supposed to have compassion for you and all the things that you did because that was your best, and completely ignore how all the things you did affect me now as an adult, but my best is never enough.
I think one of the biggest things that I despise about dysfunctional families is not the dysfunction in and of itself, it's how they choose to react to the person that finally goes no contact. The one that says, I have to remove myself from the situation. Christian families, they make it seem like you are just the villain. They make it seem like you are the villain because you had to go no contact. It's not that I wanted to cut off my family or I wanted to stop talking to you guys. And that is like one of the biggest things that I crave most, that I've always craved, is just a tribe or community. A family and friends that love me back, that support me back. After years and years of not getting it, made a way for me to be self-sufficient, self-reliant. But in those moments where I'm just craving like community or a safe space with no judgment, in those moments I decide to try again with siblings or with cousins or with aunts. And every time something happens, it's just so weird. Like, and then everybody's like, oh, the family doesn't get together how they did anymore. It's like, you guys are evil. You all are evil as fuck.
This was so hard to watch, honestly, that girl crying like that about her family and her expressing herself about what goes on in her family and the reason why she got no contact. Hey guys, welcome back to All Things Jenny. I'm Jenny. It's a lot because a lot of people don't realize when you decide to go no contact is because you have been taking the same BS for a really long time. And especially, it's even worse when it's your own family members. You know what I mean? Because your thing is, if you are someone who has been trying for a long time to basically make everything work and be happy around everybody so everybody can always be in a good mood, or, you know, try to be as positive as you can around your family, or, you know, try to be yourself, and then you have this one person who's always there basically shitting on everything that you do or say just because they are your family member or your sister, or they're older than you and they think it's okay because you're the younger one.
I went no contact with my family about 4 years ago, and the way I did it was I broke up with certain family members literally by text. I didn't want to speak to them. I didn't want to see them face to face. I had made my decision. Now, this is years and years and years and years of me just suffering. It was contact based when I was a child, into my teens, and as I entered my early 20s, the suffering was in silence, you know, because the suffering was up there. It's all memory, it's all energy. So whenever I was around these certain family members at gatherings or just at somebody's house, and, you know, they pop in and they're suddenly there, oh, they didn't respect it at the beginning. I'd still get texts, I'd still get phone calls, and it's still the same bullshit text like, oh, how come you never see us or whatever, like still the same bullshit texts that validate the exact reason why I'm non-contact with you. You know exactly what the reason is. So I sent this message detailing everything, exposing people as well. And this is something that they know of, you know, like the worst thing about families, and I think the worst thing about certain traditions as well. So in my case, it's African. It's the ability to turn a blind eye to abuse, to turn it, whether that's physical or mental. That's one of the worst things about growing up in a traditional household that doesn't respect that doesn't recognize that doesn't fucking care. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't care. What happens with that is it continues. These things tend to continue over and over and again, and because they're allowed to happen, it often gets worse. It often gets worse because the abuser knows that they'll get away with it, so they just continue. It's horrible. It's disgusting. It's disgusting, and my disgust dripped into that breakup text. And yeah, they didn't respect it at all, so they continue to message me over and over again. They slyly try and speak to me when I'm with someone that I have got contact with, and if I'm with them in person, they're like, oh yeah, pass the phone to Selena. I am not here, even if they know I'm here. No. How about, instead of being sly, even though I wouldn't open up the doors of communication anyway, but instead of being sly, send me something to acknowledge why I went no contact with you, instead of being sly and repeating that cycle of, oh, it never happened, oh, you know, let me turn a blind eye. Instead of doing that, how about you attempt to have a conversation? When you go no contact, you have to put your foot down. I've been so much happier ever since I went no contact. The one thing that gives me sly anxiety is the prospect of going to a funeral of, let's say, an elder in the family and bumping into these other people. I know it might sound a bit morbid, but I think about this often. What's the dynamic going to be like? And this is crazy because I also feel like I shouldn't be making another person's funeral about myself, but it's legitimately what goes through my mind. I mean, death is just a part of life. We're all dying every day, and it's something that we can fully accept. I start to think, damn, like, what's it going to be like? What's the dynamics going to be like? How am I going to maintain this non-contact because I need to? Like it's a panicky feeling. It's a panicky feeling. Like, I'm thinking, who can I bring with me? Who am I going to go with? Like, I've made the prospect of somebody else dying all about myself and my feelings, which is something that I don't really like. I'm trying to like actually transmit this. So if you guys have any tips for me, let me know. Maybe I'm overthinking, you know, but I also do know the way people carry on at events like funerals, you know. They're there to mourn the dead, but they're also there to gossip. They're also there to stir shit. They're also there to be nosy, yeah? Because it's one of the rare moments where everybody is in the same room at the same time. If you feel disrespected, and you're an adult, yeah? You're an adult, and it's something that you've been dealing with all of your life, and it hasn't changed. If perhaps you've even said something and it hasn't changed, if your skin crawls at the prospect of being in the same presence as certain people, if it gives you anxiety, if it stresses you out, if it drains you, then that might be a sign to go non-contact. Going no contact is huge. It's a big step because you are ousting yourself. You're stepping out of the tribe and you're going solo. It's a huge step. It's a huge step because at the end of the day, like, you don't really have any more allies in that field anymore. That's a huge step. Can you carry that weight? You need to be strong to go non-contact. But what I'm saying is, the moment I made that decision, I sent those text messages, I felt like I was free. And now I'm free. I feel free. You know, I feel free. This is really strange, but I'm almost able to forgive. Or perhaps I have forgiven because I feel free. I don't feel bound to them. I'm not. There's no chains. There's no string. There's nothing attached because I made the decision to go non-contact, and I'm firm by it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's definitely consequences, like I said, but the reward is much greater. The reward is much greater. It's for you. You get to breathe easy again in spaces. Also, they don't plague your mind anymore. Like, they don't plague your mind anymore. That's nuts. Like, they don't plague your mind anymore. You know what I've noticed as well since I went non-contact? People around the people I went non-contact with sliding into the DMs, following me, watching my stories, watching me on social media. Like, I went no contact. You know that. Piss off. All right. Anyway, I know it's a tricky thing, and it's a tricky topic, because, you know, people say like blood is thicker than water and family is everything. And when people say that, and the people that say that, I truly do envy them, because they've had a great family dynamic, but not everybody can relate. If you have any questions or anything like that, then definitely let me know. As I said, this is a very, very difficult topic, and I wouldn't even advise anybody to do it until they've thoroughly thought it over, thought about the consequences, because there are going to be many, many consequences. Analyze yourself and where you're at mentally, physically. All right. Anyway, that's it.
You know exactly why. And it's like, as soon as I hear that people do that, or they're grown.
This literally reminds me of a time that I was working at AT&T, and this woman came in to upgrade her phone. We're chopping it up, and somehow in the conversation, she starts talking about her daughter and family. She tells me her daughter hasn't talked to her in 5 years, nor has she even allowed her to see her grandchild in 5 years. She tells me how much it hurts her and how I'm a nice girl and I would never do that to my mother. Me, who's no contact as fuck. But right after she says she doesn't understand why her daughter doesn't speak to her, she goes on to say that her daughter told her that she's narcissistic, that her daughter also told her that she feels like she invalidates her feelings and she favors her brother. Immediately after saying exactly why her daughter has told her that she doesn't talk to her, she invalidates her daughter by saying she has no idea what a narcissist is. This is obviously just some new age verbiage that the kids have picked up on TikTok. She literally said TikTok. And goes on to justify why her relationship with her son is better, because obviously, like, he's just better. They know why. They absolutely know why. So I'm no contact with my family, and the reason that I chose to go no contact with my family is because I'm the scapegoat in a narcissist family system. If you know, you know. If you don't, I guess Google. But when I first went no contact with my parents, I was still talking to my sibling. And I noticed after a while of me being no contact that the way that my siblings were describing my narcissist parent slowly started to change. All of a sudden, they saw him the way I saw him. They were telling me how bad he was and how awful things had gotten in the house. And based on the stories, it was bad. Well, today I learned something that made all of that make the fuck sense. Turns out that when you're the scapegoat, the narcissist uses you to keep it all together. You are how they emotionally regulate themselves. By concentrating their negativity on you, it doesn't go flying everywhere and other people can't see it, just you. Which means when you leave, there's no one there to absorb that negativity. And the narc has to find a new scapegoat. And everyone who didn't believe you is about to learn. I just saw a creator posted a video talking about the fact that when people go no contact with their family members, specifically they were talking about parents, it's not because of something that happened to them when they were 11. It's because of repeated continues of patterns of behavior from their parents. And that resonated with me really hard because I had an abusive childhood and I'm no contact with a lot of my family. And a lot of them walk around and make it seem like I'm just bitter and miserable for things that happened in my childhood that happened 20, 30 years ago. And that couldn't be any further from the case. Yes, those things happen. They had lasting impacts on me and I was mad about them for quite some time. I'm not gonna lie about that. But I spoke to most of my family well into my 20s, so it was not something that was happening to me when I was 15. Rather, every single body that I cut off, I cut them off because I had a eureka moment after an active engagement with them. Like, when I say that, I mean like I'm actively engaging in conflict or conflict resolution with them, and I had a eureka moment where I realized this person is never going to change. Nothing is ever going to be different with this person. Who they were when I was 11 years old and who they are now is the same person. And while they cannot manhandle me the same way because I'm no longer a child, if I'm going to have a relationship with this person, I have to be willing to subject myself to constant disrespect and being manhandled. And I decided that I didn't want a relationship with them that bad. It makes them feel better to tell themselves it's because I'm bitter and I'm holding on to the past, but they are the same exact person when I was 11 years old that they are today. They have not changed. They're not going to change. And that was the realization that I had to come to. It's not what happened to me at 15. It's what happened to me at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. For all the years that I'm in contact with you, I keep having the same experience. And it was my own mother who taught me that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different response. At some point, it is insane to continue engaging with these people and expect anything different from them.
While you do only get one mother, she only gets one you as well. So don't feel obligated to talk to her if she's toxic. This is the conclusion I've personally had to come to, where I've distanced myself from my family, mainly because of the actions of my mother over the years. I've sadly experienced a lot of trauma in my life. Every time I do, my mom, she's not emotionally available. I begin to look around and notice that everybody else in my life who I was allowing into it, like my friends, my partners, ended up having a lot of those same qualities of like dropping me on my face when I needed them the most. So even though I kept trying to break the pattern of those types of partners, it finally occurred to me that I was going to have to go to the source and cut the source, because there was just no way to have her in my life on a regular basis and actually feel like I had worth as well. And I've had some people, even people I really love, tell me that eventually I'll heal and I'll come around, but healing is deciding to not come around. And I've had people tell me, oh, if your mom is like that, then she probably has some pain that she's harboring as well. I know that. I've spent years trying to rationalize her behavior and talk to her about it, make excuses for it. And at the end of the day, it still left me wanting. And it's especially hard when you look around at other people in your life and their moms are rooting for them and they're there for them. And when they go through something hard, they can turn to their moms to talk to them about it. And I can't do that. So having my mom in my life is not good for my mental health, and there is only one me. So if I intend to survive, I have to take myself dead ass seriously, which means cutting people out of my life who do not keep my highest good in mind. If you can relate, just know you're not alone today. I see you and I'm sending you love, and happy Sunday.